right, let's get back to her awesome yellow blazer. I don't know where that was made. Clown school? It looks funny. She looks like a little bird. Look at that.
The president. I never saw anything in Joe Biden that made me wonder whatsoever. And it's not that I was with Joe Biden every single day, that's for sure. But as I talked about my grandparents, the way that I would describe Joe is like, I mean, he's a granddaddy, right? And so like, you know, the way that my granny was when she was younger versus ultimately kind of where she was at 81 when she ended up passing away.
Has anyone heard of this?
She was still there, but like her attitude about certain things, like whether or not she was looking to be as polished or cared to be as polished, or even if she moved as fast, it just wasn't there. We all slow down. But I will tell you that I will take a broken, or however they want to describe Joe Biden, over Donald Trump any given day. Because number one, I know Joe Biden's heart. And I can tell you that when you look at the legislation that he was able to push forward with, this wasn't legislation that was about him and his rich friends. It was legislation that was for the good of the American people. And when you look at the people that he surrounded himself with, even if you're saying that there was a mentally deficient Joe Biden, I know that he absolutely had a mental acuity that is supreme when it comes to comparing him to Donald Trump, because at least he kept good people around him. He kept people that would keep us safe in this country. He kept people that would make sure that even as tensions were rising all around the world, that we were keeping those tempered. He was able to understand with his level of mental acuity who our friends were. He was not getting us into unwarranted tariff wars and things like that. So even if we want to say, which I refuse to accept, that Joe Biden was mentally deficient, let me tell you something. His mental deficiency is still 1,000 times better than what we currently have. And so, you know, I just wish that ultimately this country would judge each of our leaders with the same measuring stick. We do not. There was a lot of pressure that was put on Joe Biden. There were a lot of...
There was a lot of pressure that was put on Joe Biden. The entire media, even the people responsible like Jake Tapper, have conceded in his book, What the Fuck Was I Thinking?, that he wrote with another shithead who was complicit in all of this. So the media has all admitted that they covered up his obvious brain troubles while attacking Donald Trump relentlessly since he declared his run for the presidency in 2015. They have not stopped. Look up the data on the bias towards the bias against Trump and the bias for Biden. It's like to the tune of 99%. But go ahead, you fucking lying Easter treat.
There's only like a second.
Criticisms that were lodged at him as well as Kamala Harris.
She never seems to amaze me, as P. Diddy would say. She was a little annoyed she wasn't consulted about Iran. That was her area of expertise.
Hi, this is Anthony Cumia.
Hello, I'm Gavin McInnes.
And together we're Compound Censored.
And we would like you to subscribe with this deal using this promo code right below me right now.
Do it, because it's very entertaining.
And to understand enough about the Constitution to the extent that I'm the one that's supposed to make a fucking decision or at least get a vote.
I'm the one that's supposed to make the fucking decision. Let's just check in on it.
But it's Ron that's telling me. Right. So literally, like,
Like literally, God, they love the word literally, don't they? She's a U.S. rep for Texas' 30th congressional district, which is a little area outside of where? I wish I could zoom out on this map. Yes, I can. So she's near Fort Worth. She represents a little suburb outside of Fort Worth, and that's who we go to when we want to disarm Iran and take away their nuclear weapons, okay? Here she is losing a bid to be top Dem on an oversight panel. I'm not sure that video corresponds, which is one of my biggest pet peeves. Was this just because she's retarded, or was it racism? Let's see is that what she's talking about? No, that's the death toll. Outspoken progressive rep dropped her bid Tuesday to become the top Democrat on the powerful House Oversight Committee after it became clear she lacked the vote. See, this is what I was predicting. She's a much bigger fan of Jasmine Crockett than anyone else is. It's clear by the numbers that my style of leadership is not exactly what they're looking for, so I didn't think it was fair for me to push forward and try to rebuke that. Oh, big words all of a sudden. Democrats later appointed Representative Robert Garcia to become their ranking member. Well, they still got a visible minority. Crockett, who was a penchant for going viral during committee hearings with her incendiary rhetoric, had touted her ability to go on the offense during the internal party battle to succeed Connolly. So a little bit of a loss there for Jasmine, who I think was under the impression that she was running for president. Dropping the bombs meant nothing. If it was Dems, there'd be a whole other story. So, yeah, she's trivializing here the attack on Iran. But she's just such a fucking yes man. And the last rat to leave the sinking ship because she's so stupid.
Money. Let me tell you, just dropping those few bombs in one day, that was the beginning of what is going to be a very long bill for us as they talk about being efficient. There was nothing efficient about doing it. And maybe if there was some consultation, maybe with those that say have constitutional authority, since we care about the Constitution, then maybe we could have saved the American people not only money, but the lives that are now at risk as we have to put out warnings for American citizens in this country and abroad. Maybe we need to start leading with the people at the middle of what it is that is guiding us instead of following one person. The reason that people like me say things like y'all are in a cult is because somehow people are abdicating their duties and abdicating the very people that put them into office. Money.
Did you catch what's going on there? I should have been consulted about Iran. She really thinks that she is the next president of the United States already. So why don't you start practicing by consulting all global decisions with me? Wow. Here she is. We got two left, folks. Here she is on immigration.
As far as I'm concerned, you randomly kidnapping folk and you throwing them out of the country against their civil rights, against their constitutional rights. And frankly, how would they feel if some other country decided that they were going to just start throwing people randomly in our country? Like that is absolutely insane. So yes,
wait, stop.
All I got to say.
She must realize, I mean, she's not completely retarded. She must realize sometimes that what she just said makes no sense. Like, how would we feel if people just started randomly throwing their people into our country? They do. It's called Mexico. Cuba emptied all their prisons into our country. It happens on a regular basis. Were you not paying attention to the entire Biden presidency? 12 million pieces of human garbage from all over the third world were sent to us and dumped on our shores. You must go back a bit. I feel like she realized that.
Start throwing people randomly in our country. Like that is absolutely insane. So yes, all I gotta say is y'all need to get these fools out of here. But Deborah, as far as I'm concerned, you randomly kidnapping folks.
Randomly kidnapping folks. Wow. And then finally, if you have a problem with Jasmine Crockett, you're a racist. I'd say that's true of all people of color. If you notice them doing anything bad or you have any kind of criticism of anyone of any color, you're a bigot. That's why.
Why is Trump talking down on AOC like that?
Talking down on?
And why is he talking down on Jasmine Crockett? Two women of color? I said that Trump was racist. And I got people in my comments saying, show me proof that he's racist. Why is Trump talking down on AOC like that?
There's your proof. Okay, so that's the end of the updates. That's the end of old Jazzy C. Let's check in on, like, one of the reasons I'm doing this is because my examples keep piling up to the point where I'd only catch up to them if we did another marathon. So let's check in on Latoya Cantrell. She's the mayor of New Orleans. Oh, this is funny. Yeah, this is just like Tiffany Haynard, super mayor.
We also found several days when her security team clocked long hours, even though the mayor had nothing or only one appearance on her public calendar. August 8th of last year, Cantrell's schedule lists one item, attending the opening of Nobu Restaurant at Caesars Casino downtown. Yet on that day, 2 of the 3 members of her security team put on their timesheets they worked 12 hours.
Okay, I mean, this is just getting really goofy here. We are talking about New Orleans Mayor
scroll ahead.
Latoya
I don't
Cantrell.
want to do someone else's commentary.
While New Orleans is seniors are dealing now, this person is taking 2 trips.
The number of scheduled meetings has decreased every year.
Let us come this way, guys. We're not going to answer any questions.
New Orleans Mayor Latoya Cantrell has recently missed high-profile city events. From a New Orleans police promotion ceremony last month.
Our mayor is out of town today.
To the power outage affecting more than 100,000 Entergy customers.
She just doesn't go to work.
During that utility incident, the mayor and her office remained silent. No public appearances or statements.
So really, really bad stuff. If you're the mayor, usually you want to show up.
Lock that on your own time. But being a mayor is already a fake job. It's the easiest job in the world. Some people like Pete Buttigieg can fuck it up and destroy a town. But generally, you're just cutting ribbons, going to ceremonies, acknowledging some chief of police. Nope. I'm not doing that. I'm Netflixing. I'm on a Netflix bender. So we've seen that a million times, too, especially with, like, black judges. Let's check in on a judge of sorts, Bronx DA Darcel Clark, with the craziest teeth I've ever seen. She's fighting with Jessica Tisch. Did you see Jessica Tisch on July 4th? She goes, for the first time ever, there was no shootings in New York City on July 4th. And then she goes, she had to update it. She goes, at 11 a.m. this morning, July 5th, someone came in, was dropped off, and they quickly died. And detectives confirmed that they were shot at 11:56 p.m. So set the clocks back to never. I think we've featured this before. Jessica Tisch, who is growing on me, I got to say, one of the ugliest people in the world. She's the NYPD commissioner, and she said that, we've covered this. She said that the Bronx is a great place to go steal a car. And it's because Darcel Clark is letting thieves walk with a slap on the wrist. Look at the clash of the uglies we got here. We got Jessica Tisch, who looks like a weird albino newborn mouse dressed like a woman for Halloween. And then we have Darcel Clark right below that, who looks like a very racist drawing of a black person. Or how about the judge who released Carmelo Anthony, Judge Angela Tucker? I think we'd actually have preferred it if she didn't show up for work at all. Wouldn't that be nice? She's doing a talk? Diversity in the judiciary. Yeah, that's what we need. I mean, women have a bias because they want to be too nice. And then you add the racial bias of black women liking young black men and not wanting them to get hurt. And that's what you're stuck with. Diversity diversity in justice. Justice isn't supposed to be diverse. It's supposed to be rock solid. We could check in on school principal Natalie James. What's Natalie James up to? Natalie James, look at me. Imagine, here's from our own Anthony Cumia. Imagine the shit education the students are getting with this racist asshole principal. Oh, this is the chick who said she felt unsafe with the cop in there. Everyone's seen this one. Wow, really cleaning out the computer here. And the cop's like, I don't know what happened to you when you were young, but we're investigating a bomb threat, so move.
For some reason, you don't like the police, and you want to make things so difficult for us that we don't want to come to your school. And listen, I listened to you, did I not?
You did.
You are, and I don't know what in your life happened that you hate us so much that you don't want to cooperate. But the teachers union, and I've talked with them,
I'm gonna pause you because it's not going to be a back and forth. I don't have any hate towards the police or anything like that. There are some who come in over to Ridgeview who are just fine, but all of this and escalatedness and so forth and so on. I do not feel safe. I don't feel
This
comfortable.
is a principal in charge. This is why I left Brooklyn.
And I heard what
You
was
don't
going
feel
on,
safe right
and
now.
I came on.
You don't feel safe right now.
I do not.
Okay, well
So,
then why don't
Mr.
you
Well,
go back
bombs
to your
make me
office
feel
and
unsafe.
find safety.
So, Mr. Howe, did you provide him with the information?
I'm going to walk out and give it to you.
Okay.
I can only give you.
Yeah, just give me the top half, and that's fine. I need name.
All right,
date
so
of
we've seen
birth,
that one
and his
before.
Contact.
Let's check in on a department head in San Francisco, Kimberly Ellis. What is this, $600,000 she spent on a meeting? On a one-day conference, she spent $600,000.
The scandal over a former San Francisco department head's eyebrow-raising spending. Our media partner, the San Francisco Standard, first reported that the former head of the department on the status of women had been suspended after a women's conference that cost over $600,000 during, let's admit it, austere times. Joining us live now to share what he and his colleagues discovered is Standard's senior politics reporter, Josh Kane. Josh, it's good to see you.
Good to see you, Kristen.
All right, so before we reveal the latest bombshell, this all centers around Kimberly Ellis, very influential, connected, and until recently headed the city's Department on the Status of Women. What led to her troubles?
Yeah, so Kimberly Ellis heads up the Department of Status of Women. It's a division here in the city and county of San Francisco that oversees issues around gender-based violence or domestic violence, particularly against women and girls. However, since Ellis took over in late 2020, the department's kind of shifted and it's taken a much more political tone. And just recently, less than 2 weeks ago, Ellis was placed on paid suspension because they found, we should say that investigators within the city found that there was this lavish conference, cost more than $600,000, a one-day event that included massages, a fashion show, a hotel stays for staff inside San Francisco for a one-day event for 3 days. There was a lot of weird spending on that, as well as some dubious contracts with people that are political allies and, as she calls them, dear friends. And so we've been trying to uncover how the spending's working and why this might not be a good use of taxpayer money.
In the latest scandal over...
She's just a parasite. These black women it seems that they can't help themselves when it comes to stealing money. How about Twyla Carter? Who's Twyla Carter? Well, she works for the Hochul. She is Legal Aid's CEO. So we pay $300 million in taxes to make us safer. Hochul starts a group called Legal Aid. Well, she didn't start Legal Aid, but she appoints Twyla Carter to run the thing. And what do? They just release everyone. Go ahead. You're free to go. New York City's 5 district attorneys support Hochul's plan to tweak the laws, blah, blah, blah. A grab bag of progressive and criminal justice groups, including Legal Aid, that we just saw, the NAACP, and the Innocence Project, that have coalesced into the Alliance to Protect Caliph's Law. And they argue that relevant language gives prosecutors too much power. So basically, Hochul tries to get tough on crime, and these left-wing groups, fronted by Twyla Carter, was that her name? Yeah. Realize that that's going to be a lot of black arrests. So what do? They fight it tooth and nail. Meanwhile, these black criminals are hurting black people. They're hurting non-criminals. They don't come to my neighborhood. Well, they did once, but they generally don't come to my neighborhood. Are you seeing a pattern yet here, folks? Let's check in on Tanya Fernandez Anderson. She's an American politician. What does she do? She's an immigrant from Cape Verdean. Where the fuck is that? She's in Boston. Oh, this is the one who married a guy doing life. She's the one who said, "What the fuck? do I got to do to get listened to in here? And she
Earlier
banged the
today-
table. She dated a guy through a letter writing prisoner thing, and he was doing life for murder, and she married him.
Boston City Council member Tanya Fernandez Anderson was arrested on federal public corruption charges. These 6 felony charges stem from an alleged kickback scheme that she orchestrated to obtain several $1,000s in taxpayer money in exchange for a bribe she paid to a staffer she gave her a very large bonus. The indictment charges Ms. Fernandez Anderson with 5 counts of wire fraud in violation of Title 18, United States Code 1343, and 1 count of theft concerning programs receiving federal funds, in violation of Title 18, United States Code 666. According to the indictment that was returned by a federal grand jury earlier this week, Ms. Fernandez Anderson was facing financial difficulty in 2023. Part of that financial difficulty stemmed from a sanction that was imposed by the State Ethics Commission of $5,000 for Ms. Fernandez Anderson hiring immediate family members in her Boston City Council office.
She's a Sunni
and
Muslim,
around that
by the
same
way.
time in 2023, Ms. Fernandez Anderson, the grand jury alleges, patched this scheme to funnel bonus payments, taxpayer money into her own pocket in the tune of approximately $7,000. Specifically, despite the fact that she was under investigation by the State Ethics Commission, Ms. Fernandez Anderson hired another family member on her staff at Boston City Hall to handle constituent services. That staff member was related to her, but Ms. Fernandez Anderson falsely represented to City Hall that there was no familial relationship. That is staff member A in the indictment. Ms. Fernandez Anderson then went on to tell that staff member A that she would give that person a $13,000 bonus. That bonus of $13,000 was more than twice as much as Ms. Fernandez was paying to the rest of her staff combined in bonuses. But that supersized bonus came with a hitch. Ms. Fernandez Anderson told staff member A that she would need to fork over $7,000 in cash back to Ms. Fernandez Anderson. Staff member A agreed.
She's a petty street
the indictment
criminal.
alleges that after staff member A received the deposit of approximately $10,000 after taxes in her bank account, staff member A was directed to make cash withdrawals. And she did that in the days following the receipt of the money in her bank account. $3,000 on May 31st, 2023, $3,000 on June 5th, 2023, and $4,000 on the afternoon of Friday, June 9th, 2023. And shortly after that last cash withdrawal, Ms. Fernandez Anderson and staff member A texted each other, and they arranged for a meetup in a bathroom in City Hall. That meeting happened in the bathroom around 4 o'clock or so on that Friday. And when they met inside that bathroom, Ms. Fernandez Anderson put $7,000 in cash in her pocket, the grand jury alleges.
How
All
did you
of that
get
money
caught, you
was
dumbass?
funded by the taxpayers in the city of Boston. When faced with financial hardship and that State Ethics Commission $5,000 sanction, Ms. Fernandez Anderson chose to violate her fiduciary duty and defraud the city of Boston, the indictment alleges, rather than find a legal means to pay off that debt. When her constituents elected Ms. Fernandez Anderson, she had a fundamental obligation to act with the utmost integrity. Public officials who line their pockets with taxpayer money erode the trust and confidence of the public in the officials who serve them. Public service is a privilege, and all of us in public service have a duty to act with integrity and fairness in all that we do.
You're not going to believe this. She just resigned. So in April, I think it was, she's on the House floor. Did I send you that link?
Yep,
yeah, I did.
got it, yep.
She's on the House floor screaming, "What the fuck do I got to do to get some?" Well, let's see exactly what she said. And you're not going to believe the murderer she married in prison. Guess what his name is?
Muhammad?
Tarzanius.
What the do I have to do in this council in order to get respect as a black woman? What the
So, yeah, Tanzarius is his name. And he's doing life for murder. You know how to pick him. So then, about 4 months after that temper tantrum, or a couple months after that temper tantrum, we see that she's stealing money and giving it to her relatives, which is, I think that's the most common thread you'll find with all of these examples, is greasing the palms of everyone around you. That's what Tiffany Hayner did, super mayor. It's the best way to launder money. But apparently even Fernandez can get caught. She faces sentencing for her role in orchestrating a kickback scheme at the end of July. Oh, so she quit July 3rd of 2025. And at the end of July, she's facing charges for the thing we just saw. So it's all fallen down. Let's hope the same shit happens to Tisha James and her world falls down all around her. Okay, at the risk of creating example exhaustion, let's check in on Latifah Simon. They always have the most ghetto names, too. It's never like Jackie. Oh, this is this weird cross-eyed cartoon-looking goofball.
This one's not available right now.
She represents the 12th Congressional. She represents somewhere in California, like the Bay Area. It came down?
No, it's up now. Or it just was.
Look at her fucking eyes.
We're going back to a 1950s America. I want to be very clear about that for those of us who have parents, who have aunts and uncles and communities that are still alive, who remembered what a Jim Crow America looks like. Tonight in the chamber, you can look easily to your right and you can see essentially a monolithic group of folks who look just like one another. And then you went to the left side and you would see what America truly looks like. A beautiful tapestry of all of us who pray differently, who look differently, who come from four corners of the globe
look at
to
the
make
next
this
link.
country what it is.
You can pause
we
that.
know what we all deserve.
I want people who look different. And if there's one person that has nailed that, it is fucking, it is Latifah Simon representing the Bay Area. So she was mad. We're now going back to Trump's State of the Union, and she was mad that so many Republicans were white. Are we done with that segment?
There's a little bit more.
Clip? Yeah, let's hear it.
And
By the way, I looked it up. She's not blind. Those are just her eyes.
Congress, I was shocked at what seems like a blatant disrespect for the House. And it wasn't coming from Representative Green. It was coming from the men behind him on the right side who were telling him and yelling, "Sit down." I mean, it felt like I was watching something in a history class of racists yelling at an elderly black man challenging the president of the United States not to cut medical care for the sick. What have we become? Tomorrow means we organize, we enroll folks in continuous care because Medicare and Medi-Cal and Medicaid are still ours in my state.
Medi-Cal?
We can't lose those things. But again,
State program.
2026 is too far ahead. Folks got to get on the ground. We got to get proximate. And I believe that that's what we will do.
So what's his name? Werewolf syndrome guy.
Al Green.
Al Green got kicked out, and that was racist because people were mad at him. And they said, "Sit down," as he held up like a giant flag or something.
A cane, I think it was.
Yeah, it was a big stick. And then he appeared on TV later holding a giant cardstock printout of him being kicked out. Wow. Leisha Adams. Now, that doesn't exist anymore, but I got 2 links for Leisha. There she is. And she did the same thing they always do. She gives it to her husband, her brother, her cousin. There's such a didn't Brandon Johnson say that they're a very generous people?
Yes.
They're the
Is
most
Alicia Adams Kellum. She's the CEO of the Los Angeles Homeless Services Authority, in charge of managing over $800 million annually in federal, state, county, and city funds towards homeless shelters. It's a big responsibility, so they pay her a monster salary, $430,000 a year. And what's she been up to? Valisha has just been exposed for funneling millions of dollars worth of contracts to her husband. Quote, documents show that Valisha Adams Kellum, chief executive of the LA Homeless Services Authority, signed a $2.1 million contract and 2 other contract amendments with Upward Bound House, a Santa Monica-based nonprofit where her husband, Edward Kellum, works in senior leadership.
Oh, what a coincidence.
And here he is, Director of Operations and Compliance. Compliance. The irony is not lost on me. And for context, $2.1 million is about a quarter of Upward Bound House's total funding. So I would say Valisha's generosity is quite critical for this organization. Except that organization may not be what it seems. Haley Maria Van Nuys wrote that, personally, she feels sorry for all the new homeless families coming into this program thinking they're going to get help when they're not. That place isn't there for helping people. It's a sad money trench with a homeless face to back it up. Don't donate and stay as far away as possible. Not shocking. For journalistic integrity, I must say that Adams Kellum has denied wrongdoing. A LAHSA spokesperson told LAist that the contracts had inadvertently ended up in front of Adams Kellum to sign. Except, she's done it 3 separate times, so not shady at all. The agency also said that they have pledged additional staff training to prevent future incidents. Such a joke. This lady's...
Isn't it funny how the only half-decent journalism you can find is on TikTok and Twitter by a bunch of young people with baseball hats on? You'd never see that anywhere. I mean, I'd be surprised if the New York Post was good enough to point out that she's done this 3 times. That's quality journalism right there, folks. And it is, you just simply don't see that.
So if you enjoyed that clip,
then subscribe to Compound Censored using this promo code.